Hi Fahad, how you doing?
I'm doing fabulous.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us for this broadcast, this podcast that we're doing, and it's great to have you. And introduce yourself and tell us about who you are and where you're from and what area of the world you're residing at.
For sure. Yeah, first of all, Judith, thank you so much for having me. I'm really delighted to be here. Currently, I am located in Saudi Arabia, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's the winter time over here, so the weather is great. It's fabulous to be here. So I'm with my family, and yeah, a bit about what I do currently. I'm dabbling a bit about around YouTube. I'm trying to become or wanting to become this YouTuber, or I am this YouTuber right now. And if I were to go ahead and introduce you to who I am somebody who is interested in natural ways of living. I I really honor and love to live a natural life, and have experimented, many ways, many lifestyles, many types of diets. And something that I'm really passionate to talk about, and I want to go more deep here, so that it's valuable for people, is the benefits of natural living, right? Being able to sleep at the right time, being able to eat what is natural to you, being able to understand the potential of what it is to be a human. Because I fully believe that to be a human, it's really a miraculous thing, and we are not tapping that potential fully yet. Heck, we are not even 10%, I think. um, because the world would be a totally different place if we would have already tapped into just 10% even of what we are and our potential as human beings, and what we can do with the power of mind. So really excited to go ahead and share all of these concepts with you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Fahad. You can mention to the audience, you are a fruitarian, am I correct?
Yes, I am
Okay.
a fully fruit eating man. Yes.
Yes, and this was part of your journey, your spiritual growth and your personal growth, how you got here. Am I correct?
Yes,
You said
it was one of the aspects that truly accelerated my spiritual growth. But I've been in spirituality, or I would say, um, been meditating and sitting by myself and spending time by myself and loving my own company for a few years now. It's been 6 to 7 years that I have been meditating regularly.
so. You started off eating. Have you been always eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle, and doing the meditation and all the living this focused lifestyle, or were you more into the world? You know.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love that you add focused ways of living. I fully think that, yes, being aligned and centered to who you are is a lot about being focused. And focus is a big asset, if one were to bring into their being. But the type of life, no, not at all. If I were to give you a quick rundown, um, I studied just as usual here in Saudi Arabia, and then I flew to India. My background is from India. So originally I'm from India. My roots are from India. So I was like, oh, I never lived in India, so let's go to India for my college, for my university. But then I quickly realized that this is not what I want to do. I do not want to spend my time in a university, because I truly thought that I should be out there in the nature doing things and learning in the nature, rather than learning it from somebody who's just teaching me from the book. So I dropped out, and then I got into experimenting with myself and life. So I quickly got into drugs as a very naive kid. I was a drug addict actually for 2 to 3 years, and then I realized this is not what I want to do, and I want to get into business and make some money, because I was so broke at that time. So did that as well. I flew to Dubai and got a few things going, made some money, and then I realized, no, I don't want to be making this much money as well, because it kind of traps you. I want to be out there in the nature and all of this, and this is the point where I was heavily getting into meditation. I was very aware of what meditation is and what it could do for me, but I never really paid too much attention into it. It was like once a week or something. But now I started to do it regularly, once or twice a day even, and started to become more concentrated, more focused, more aligned, more centered, and started to understand who I am. And I think that when you dive deep into spirituality, if I were to go ahead and define what spirituality is, for me, spirituality is to know thyself, quite simply, right? The ability or the process of trying to find yourself. And to know thyself is something that has been spoken for centuries, right? By great sages and monks or whoever, and truly is one of the most underrated things one could do spending their time here on earth. So I started traveling, and this is when it changed. And all this time, by the way, Judith, I was a completely heavy meat eater, really, like a carnivore eater, and like I love eating meat, steak, and all of this, and never really paid attention towards my diet. I just thought that food is just another aspect of life where you just do it thrice a day and just do it, like it has I always thought that it might not have anything to do with my spiritual growth. um, so that happened, and then started traveling, and started volunteering and going to like these farms and villages, and meeting these people and working in forests and cutting
Sorry, where
woods and all of
you
this.
just explain to us where were you traveling, what countries, and who did you come in contact with?
Sure. I was very close to Hungary, even. I was
Oh,
in
wow.
Serbia.
Yes, I'm from
Yeah.
Hungary originally. You know that, I think.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome. Yes. So you were living in Serbia, and were you working there as well, or were you just doing this kind of finding yourself, kind of traveling and seeing the world?
Yeah, it was more so exploration, I would say. And I really wanted to not be a traveler that just goes from city to city, hops on city to city to just to see monuments. For me, it was more like going deep into the jungles or farms or villages of countries, and like speaking with people over there, getting to work with them, volunteer there. So like I will work for them in a farm for whatever time of the day, and they could provide me something in exchange. So I did that all across the south of Europe, so like Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Macedonia, Albania. Really enjoyed my time there. Spent close to 7 to 8, 9 months, and really learned a lot. This was 2 years ago, I would say, about 2 years ago, where I was, you know, really in a place where I'm truly finding myself and really getting to explore myself. And then I also flew to South America last year, and I was doing the same as well in the forests of South America. And a big click for me happened. It was sort of like an awakening or spiritual awakening. And at this time, I was slowly transitioning because I realized that I'm having more energy and I'm performing a lot better on a sort of a vegan diet, vegetarian diet. So I cut down my consumption of meat a lot,
Um,
like
did
90%.
you? That's great. That's awesome. And did you have a specific person you were following that got you to this realization, or did it just come into your social feeds, or you did your own research?
Actually, it just came to me naturally. I was just experimenting. I was not really looking up to anybody and like listening to people that this is how it should be done. It just came to me naturally because, Judith, I think I was experimenting a lot. So I constantly experiment. Even now, I'm just constantly experimenting with things. So as I experiment, I'm paying attention. I'm paying
Mm.
keen attention to myself, and I'm starting to
Mm.
understand. Oh, if I put this into my body, this is how I react. If I put this into my body, this is how my energy level is. So just learning from myself,
It's like
and
a
paying.
intuitive eating. Sorry to interrupt you. More
Of course,
intuitive. Yes.
yeah, more intuitive. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I think one can get there when they get to pay attention to their body, when they get to sit by themselves. And this is one aspect of meditation as well, yoga. really allows you to, one, liberate yourself from your body, from your body's limitations. This is what how I see yoga. But also it makes you so keen and aware of your own body, right? The mechanism of your body, how it functions. And just by paying keen attention to this piece of technology, I truly think this is such an advanced piece of technology that we have at our disposal at all times. um, I was paying attention to it constantly, and I was seeing that vegan diet is doing a lot better for me. But I was more so like a processed junk vegan eater
So
still.
last year, let's go back to your story because I interrupted you. You were in South America, then you started realizing that you want to eat more vegan, to eat lighter. So you cut out 90% of meat. So you only had a little bit of meat every now and then you had
Yes.
basically vegan food, but then you had more also processed and junk vegan food as well. Okay,
Yes,
that's where
that
I am.
was a big. Correct. You're absolutely
Okay,
right. That was
yeah.
yes. That was how my transition was looking like. Right.
And then what happened next? That was last year. Okay. And how long have you been eating like this, very healthy and as a fruitarian?
Right. So as a fruitarian, what happened to me while I was in Colombia, this was last year, around this time, like, yeah, uh, but mostly vegan, but around this time last year, around June, actually, June or July. Um, what happened to me was I was deep in the jungles of Colombia, away from nature. I mean, away from people, in nature, deep in the nature. And I was really feeling so aligned and so connected with nature like never before. And don't get me wrong, I have spent a lot of time before this, even in jungles, like even spent a lot of time, even in India, in the jungles of India, right? And in the forests. So this time it was a bit different because I was by myself. There were other people as well, other travelers, but I was choosing to spend more time just by myself because I felt it like. And there was constantly this one big tree that was attracting me and calling me, right? So I was getting drawn to it. I was going and sitting there all by myself for hours, and it felt like minutes to me, but it was like hours when I checked time. And I was just doing that constantly every day. I did that for 3, 4, 5 days even, and no technology with me, no nothing. And it just felt like so many revelations and downloads just came to me suddenly out of nowhere, and I just couldn't process this. And then what happened to me is that when I go back to this communal kitchen where I was staying with a few travelers, it just felt so silly to me that we spend so much time cooking. And I was doing that just a week before. And I was like, why am I spending so much time cooking when I could just cut open a watermelon or a papaya and just have it? Right. So suddenly that realization came to me, and I did it. I just cut open a watermelon and had it. The next day, I just cut some guavas and a few fruits and put it on my plate and just had it. And literally, Judith, like right after that, I felt like going out for a walk by myself again through this forest. And that moment, while I was walking around afternoon time, only thing I had was fruit in the morning. For the very first time in my life, when I was just walking, I analyzed my body and I was like, I never felt this alive before, right? This feels like I feel so light, and I feel like doing things, and I feel like um, truly being liberated and not being so attached to my body. Because before, every time after a meal, after I eat, be it vegan or meat or whatever, because mostly I was eating processed vegan, right after my meal, I need at least 2 to 3 hours to digest it, to process it, and to be able to do anything meaningful. But here I am, right after my meal of fruit, doing something meaningful with the stick in my hand, walking through the jungles, and I'm like, wow, I never felt this amazing and alive and so light, right? Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Like, it was so nice. So I was like, maybe I should just keep doing this. And until that time, Judith, no kidding, I did not know a single person who ate raw or fruit. not at all.
That's amazing.
So
I love your story. Wow, I love it. Wow, it's like
thank
you
you.
found it. You just found it, and the universe just presented to you like right there in your reality.
Yeah, yeah, it
It's
just came to me
amazing.
naturally. Just yeah, it
Yeah.
just came to me naturally. I'm so grateful to that, really. And then
Wow.
I was like, okay, let's just be on fruit then. Why not? And I didn't know any benefits of it. All I knew was I'm feeling ecstasy. Like I'm just feeling joyful. This is all I know, right? I constantly keep doing this. Next day, I'm loving it. Then there's so many fruits in Colombia. Oh my God, the place where I was at, just the next farm had like all these fruit trees. So I was with another traveler who was just a friend, but she was not eating fruit or anything. So we
Mm.
just sneak into the farm and take some fruits like oranges and all of this and mangoes, and then we run. So it was also fun because they had like plethora, like just fruit trees after trees after trees for acres and acres. So I was like, if I take one or two oranges and mango, I don't think so it's gonna hurt. But anyway, so I'm constantly eating fruit, and after 3 to 4 days, every time I think of this, I laugh at myself. After 3 4 days, I was like, I'm only eating fruit. I never did this before, right? I was always grown up to, I was always taught that I should have some meat, protein, this and that. But for the last 3 4 days, 5 days, I'm just eating fruit. Am I the only one in the world to eat only raw or fruit, or are there other people? So I literally thought, am I the only one doing it? And then I was like, maybe I should go on the internet and check, because I was also like not using technology and phones. So I removed my phone and I was like, only fruit diet. And I searched, and then I got to know, oh my God, there's a whole thing about raw living and fruitarian and fruit diet and all of that. I was like, wow, people are crazy. They already do this for years. And I was like, let's do it. And yeah, since then I've been just eating fruit.
That's amazing. I mean, and you don't miss greens because I'm a raw vegan, 100% raw vegan, but I don't think I could go without salads and things like that. I would miss it too
Mm.
much. Like when I eat fruit, I love fruit. I eat fruit like basically morning and during the day. But I get so hungry, even if I eat a lot, I get hungry like an hour later, especially in the
Mm.
morning when I need more. I think my body needs, I have nuts as well and seeds and things. Maybe it just craves a bit more protein, in the morning from the nuts and the avocado. I put avocado in my salads and stuff. So obviously there's a bit of a difference. But your body, I mean, it's everybody's body is different. It's you have to do what your body kind of wants. Like your body just wants fruit and you feel amazing. I mean, that's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's mostly fruit. Judith, thanks for sharing that. But for me, it's mostly fruit. One, because yeah, I've tried eating like salads and like greens. For me, the only green thing that makes to the list is spinach. I think so, like just grinding it or like light steaming it once a week, even one meal a week of spinach. I do it. But I feel so fulfilled and well nourished and satiated on just fruit, mainly because I think the fruit that I eat is so local and so organic that this is one thing, right? Some of the cantaloupes that I was eating, now we are not, no more cantaloupes will come in the next 2 3 months. They
Mm,
were just grown 50 kilometers of where I'm staying.
mm.
So fresh. Like when you eat one, you're so satiated for the next so many hours. So I think quality has a big role to play. And also, there's so much abundance of fruit here where I am. I am just totally all right to just eat. Currently, I'm on completely orange meal, orange diet.
Is it?
So
But
90.
I would think that Saudi Arabia doesn't have a lot of fruit because of the desert type of weather. Or is it, did they export everything?
We do we don't export that much actually. When it
Uh,
comes to fruit, first of all, yes, there's a lot of desert. We have the biggest and the most craziest or the most it's called empty quarter. So like literally the south mid center south part of the entire country is just empty and just desert. But we have a lot of greenery as well. We have a lot of fertile soil on the west coast of the country. So we grow a lot of things on the west coast. I'm on the east coast, so just north of myself of where I'm staying is also a lot of fertile soil. So we have a lot of places we are growing, and we are also turning desert into rich soil. The government has been doing that. We have a new initiative of planting 10 billion trees by 2030. We already planted a few billion in the last 5 years. So this place is getting green fast, and we are getting a lot of. And the only things that we import is from Egypt and Yemen, which, yes, there's a line, but these are neighboring countries, so the border is like man-made, but the land is very similar. So I still see it when I eat it. I just still find it not so. If something's coming from South America, it feels imported when I put it, right? But when I eat something from Yemen or Egypt, it still feels 70% organic, I would say,
Yes.
or yeah.
And I think what's really amazing is, since I've also been eating raw vegan, I just realized as well, like the fruit, the difference. If you have a fruit that's, you can immediately pick it up if it's not so fresh. I don't know, your
Mm,
body just gets so attuned to it. It's just stunning how our bodies work and how everything just works together. And your intuition, I mean, since I've been raw vegan, my intuition and my, I also get downloads. It's so clear, it's so much
yeah.
more clear than before. Like, exactly, I think, what I'm talking about. Like you said, you had so many downloads and so many, and now I exactly know most of the time, where previously I wouldn't be sure what the universe is trying to tell me. I have so many synchronicities and so many downloads. And I know, let's not discourage some people that don't have any downloads and don't have any messages from the universe. That doesn't mean that you're not spiritually on the right path. It's just certain people maybe are so more susceptible to this type of communication. So let's not discourage people about that. So definitely. And I just love it as well. And you cannot separate eating healthy from your spiritual growth, like you mentioned it
Yeah.
at the beginning. Because I wanted to today mainly talk about the spiritual growth and your life purpose and everything in life. But I think that we cannot really separate it, because that's part of the spiritual growth, because I think it goes hand in hand, with raising your frequency. I mean, eating all those nice fruits and vegetables that are raw and not cooked, or eating very minimal cooked, the energy is just amazing. It's so much higher frequency, and we're absorbing that energy, and also our bodies doesn't have to digest it it's very quick to digest. Other than like the cooked food, like you were saying, how you used to have to recover for 2 hours. I had exactly the same when I ate cooked food previously. And every now and then, when I taste something now, I don't do it that often, because I actually don't feel so good from cooked food. I taste it every now and then I immediately know why I don't really eat it, because it immediately makes me feel like you said, like I have to sit down, or you feel it in your body. You're so, even on an energetic level, it cleanses you. Eating so healthy, I think it's very important. And yeah, I don't know if you want to add something to this as well.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. I just want to give a quick disclaimer to people. Is that for sure there's a big difference day and night actually between just eating fruit, because I haven't done much of raw vegan
Mm.
salads and stuff, so I'll speak from what I know between fruit and cooked meal, because so there are 21 meals in a week, 7 times 3, um, on average, 7 times 3, 21. And out of 21, I would say one, max sometimes two meals a week, I'm having light steamed or slightly cooked meals. This is mainly because I stay, and it's all vegan, there's no question about it. And it's all greens and like these mushrooms that I love to eat, and like broccoli and all of that. I like them to be lightly steamed. And also mainly because I'm staying with my parents, and my mom is like at least one or two meals in a week let me do something for you so I feel that I'm contributing. I'm like, you know what, I understand your thing, so sure, no problem. But the rest of the time I eat fruit, right? And I can definitely say that there's a difference between just having fruit and then just having even lightly steamed. There's a difference there. If one could sit down right after food and literally pay attention, sit down or lie down, however one wants to do, and pay attention to this body, right? Center and align yourself and really pay keen observation to this body. You will see very soon that how your body reacts to certain things, and it's constantly telling you. And also we call, in the Indian literature we call it prana. Prana means life. And so you can see, once you ingest something, you can see how much prana is that food exhilarating or like expressing. So these things one can observe by paying attention and going within, rather than going externally and finding out, oh, what do broccolis do to me? Oh, what do mushrooms do to me? I think that's a good start, sure. But if you truly want to have like an answer that you know for sure works the best for you, is to go within and really pay attention and see how is this thing reacting and how is your body reacting to it. So yeah, for sure. And talking about the first point that you brought on, Judith, like the relationship between um, what you eat and spirituality, I think this is huge, right? Um, One thing, at least for me, that fruits do, eating raw or eating mostly fruit do to me, is that right after I eat, I still feel that I am not this body. Being able to feel liberated and not be completely, because yeah, and not be completely tied to the limitations of the body, is to feel liberated, is to feel high on spirituality. Because Judith, for me personally, I think the first step, the first path to spirituality, or a first realization one can get when they step into the realm of spirituality, is that the revelation or the realization that they are not this body, right? When you go deep into to know thyself, the first step or the first floor to it is understanding, and truly understanding, not hearing it, not hear me say it or you say it or somebody on YouTube say it, but truly for sure 100% understanding that you are not this body, you are not this mind, you are not these emotions, you are not all of the things that you think that you are. You are not this society, you are not this home that you live in. None of this is you. And for me, if I were to go ahead and define who I truly am, I think there is the very force of life that is throbbing within this body, right? Which is here to hang out with this body in this moment. And this force of life is the very phenomenon of life. The sound of the ocean when you're sitting at the shore, you go like, wow, this is amazing. The wind that hits you, right, that is a force of life, and you go like, ah, I think that force of life is you. The force of life that keeps this earth rotating, earth revolving around the sun, the sun rotating, the stars shining. Imagine go here we have deserts, and deserts don't have light pollution, so when you go deep into, you see so many stars and galaxies and all that. And whenever I see that, and I'm like, wow, these stars are shining, they have this amazing energy, the force of life, the phenomenon of life that keeps them going, and I can see that. And this is why people love to stargaze and they truly feel connected, is because they're seeing themselves, the very phenomenon
Mm.
of life, right? And that phenomenon of life is you. So, long story short, if I were to sum up force of life, I would call it the soul. In Arabic, it's called ruh, right? The ruh, or the soul, is you. And when you truly understand, when you truly connect with that force of life that is you, then you go higher and higher and higher in planes of consciousness, and you feel more spiritually and aligned and centered. And then you start to do things as if you are the slave of the force of life, which is you, not the slave of the body. Because the slave of the body would go for a steak, or would go for a very big,
Mm,
heavy meal. That is the
mm,
slave of the body. The slave of the force of life does
mm.
things to express this force of life out in the world. And this is how I essentially see the relation between what you eat and spirituality.
Yeah, what you see is that we're all one, and we come from one point, and the universe itself experiencing itself from many different perspectives. Billions of different, unlimited amount of perspectives. So what you're saying is, once you raise your frequency, then it's not just about you. You're looking at life from almost like a third person's perspective, where how can you contribute, and how can you bring your higher frequency into this reality to be an example around you as well.
Right. Yeah. Mm. I'm not sure if I fully understood you there. I'll be
Okay.
honest, Judith.
Okay. No, I
Yeah.
mean,
Do you wanna?
I'm just talking about that. I don't know how what you think about this concept. They talk about that we all connected and we all
Mm,
one. So the universe is actually just one point, but time, that's why they say time doesn't really exist. It's just a perspective. We just experience
mm,
time because we want to experience life. So time is actually not real in a way, but we create time just to have experiences. So that's how the universe can
mm,
actually create, like you and me is basically God experiencing itself from this different point of views. So we still
mm,
experience our own experience, but we're not separate from God. But because we kind of have this specific experience, we're a little bit separated. So because sort of like God consciousness is supposed, but what God is doing, or universal consciousness, is it wants to have experiences so it can learn, about every aspect, every little aspect of reality. It's like, how you and me, we have different parallel realities, we can choose from.
mm,
There could be a Fahad that lives in India right now. There could be a Fahad that's
mm.
married. There could be another reality that's where Fahad is, no longer with
How do
us
you
or
know?
whatever.
How do you know? How do you know I'm not married right now? This Fahad is not married.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Are you
Just
married,
joking.
Fahad? I haven't asked you. Surprise question, everyone.
No, you're right. I'm single currently.
Okay, great. Okay. No, I mean, this is just like a bit of a philosophical question, I think. But there is no uh, ultimate answer. There's no right or wrong in a way. Everybody can experience what they think is, they can explain it in their own way. There's not really an ultimate truth. People always looking for, once I find exactly how it works, exactly, then I'm going to stop searching. But that's the beauty of it. Our life is all about learning and searching and everything. It will never stop, really. I don't know if you agree with me or you've got a different point of view.
Mm, right. First of all, talking about time, it's a very interesting concept. I think time. Um, Time is again something that is bodily based. I feel because sometimes, and it's so subjective. Even now, if I were to give this example, where sometimes in a day where you're absolutely ecstatic and joyful and you're loving what you're doing, the activity, time goes like this, like
Mm.
before you know it, it's gone. And then sometimes when you're absolutely so sad or devastated or whatever situation that you're facing, and you're choosing to be sad, situations will always on the outside be how they want to be, but you choose to be sad to react to that certain situation, or you choose to put yourself in misery or suffer because of that situation. When you're suffering, a minute is like an entire eon, a complete era by itself. So already time is so subjective based on literally the emotions that are going through this body, right? And um, and so if you were to start identifying more and more, I don't think so you will fully 100% identify yourself, at least at this given moment, with the force of life that you are. But the closer you get to the force of life that you are, time start to become so meaningless to you, because all you are trying to do is what is right in the moment. That's it. That is all that you care about or are worrying about. You are not like, oh, when I am 30 and when I am this and this on this exact date, I will do this. You no more see it that way. When you are this force of life, you are like, okay, is it the right time to do this? Is it the right time to do this? You go on to do it,
Mm.
because you are more, um, you're essentially operating from a very intuitive standpoint. And whatever the intuition is right in the moment, you go for it. So this is how essentially I see time. You will limit yourself, if you limit yourself with this body, at least in my perception, my reality with this body, then time is so meaningful to you, right? So that is one. Now, what was the other thing that we were talking about?
We were talking about
Um,
that we are actually all connected, and we all the
oh yes.
one from one perspective, just God or universe experiencing itself from different
Hmm.
perspectives.
Yes, thank you so much, Judith, for reminding me on that. I can definitely get into tangents and, like, go into different branches, but are we all connected? I think, if, again, going from the standpoint of seeing, if you start to identify yourself as the very phenomenon of life, one thing that all of us have common is this very soul that is throbbing within us, this phenomenon of life. And this life, this thing called life, is happening all around us, everything, at all times. Before, I used to think that, oh, only if I go to a forest, or if I go deep into the jungles of the nature, only then can I observe life at its fullest. But then I realized the other day, being in a modern city that I'm staying currently, with big roads and whatever, I saw two kids, brothers, siblings, the other day, father holding their hand and going, and they're absolutely ecstatic. They're full of joy, right? And they're small kids. They're like, I think, 6, 7, 8-year-old toddlers. And I looked at them, and I'm like, wow, they are truly experiencing life right now. And I know so many people who are 30, 40, 50, sitting in their dream car with faces like this. So
Mm.
sad, because something happened to them, or they had $1 million loss. They have $100 million in their bank account, but they had $1 million loss, or even down to $10,000. You don't have to go to millions. They're sitting in their dream car and absolutely suffering. They're suffering life, right? They're not suffering life, because life is just going to be what it is, and it's beautiful the way it is. They're suffering their mind. They
Mm.
have not been able to train their mind in such a way that they could just sit by themselves here and be in complete ecstasy. I fully believe that once you
Mm.
start taking control of your mind, you can, the way you create anger, you can create ecstasy, you can create happiness. And no matter what the situation is outside, you are presented with two choices. Will you suffer from this situation, or will you liberate yourself and come out ecstatic? When you train your mind, when you sit down by yourself, you want to come out joyfully from any situation there is, right? If I lose a family member, let's say, um, will I how will I choose to react? Anytime, if I lose them now or if I lose them 30 years from now, obviously a part of me will feel sad and feel devastated. But what am I supposed to do? Should I suffer, or should I, come out of it joyfully? Sure, it hurts in the moment,
Mm.
but I can choose to still be joyful, because what has happened has happened. So, Judith, I
Yes,
think
of
life
course.
for me,
Sorry. Yes, yes. Finish what you're saying, then I will add something to that.
Sure, thank you. So all I wanted to say was that I think life is happening at full force at all times. If we were to come closer and identify and see life for what it is, I think you will see the connection between all life and everything around you as one. But if you were to see, oh, this is my body, this is my house, I only care about this body, I only care about what is happening to me and this much money that I make, then you're not connected. You're the most disconnected that you can be. And I think this is the situation we are running into, is that not to bring or not to pinpoint on certain parts of the planet currently, but America says that 1 out of 2 people are lonely right now, right? 40% of Europe is on some sort of a mental psychiatry. And it baffles me when I think this, because we have the most people that we have ever had, yet somehow we feel the most disconnected. And
That's so
the reason,
amazing what you said. I never thought about that. I love that. Yes,
thank you.
carry on.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I just wanted to wrap it up by saying that the most people ever, but yet so disconnected, because we are so individualizing ourselves with all the desires of this body, that we are feeling more and more disconnected to the very life that we are, the force of life that is throbbing within. Once we start connecting with this force of life, then we will truly understand how truly are we all connected and one.
That's beautiful. I just loved what you said. I can really, I can really resonate with that. I think you're really speaking the truth for a lot of people, I think, deep down. And I think that's what you were maybe searching also in the jungles, in nature, because you were also trying to just declutter your mind, just to be in nature, to see how you can connect to the universe, or God consciousness or whatever. Because if we would be separate, you couldn't have connected to that tree, for example. So that's how we can be
Yes,
connected. That's why we are part of the same. We are experiencing different realities in a way. Our reality bubbles are the same, different. But then we have to be connected. Otherwise, how could we actually? How could you have connected to the tree? I mean, the tree doesn't speak, but you immediately. I also have the
yeah.
same experience with trees. When I went vegan the first time, the trees in the garden kept on calling me out, just to go water them, or, I couldn't believe it. I felt like, I'm like, what is wrong with me? I never heard anybody talking about this, but I also have that connection
Wow.
with nature. And I don't always get it. It depends. If I love being in nature as well. So we go away like once a month, to outside into nature, just to get away from the city and everything. I think it's very important. You have to make time for that.
For
And
sure.
then I really feel connected to nature. When I'm in, you know, we are somewhere between trees and water, and somewhere where it's really relaxing and there's not a lot of people, because I find that if there's too many people, there's too many distractions for me. But that's a good way to clear your head and find out what matters for you the most, like what you did, when you traveled. But I think what's also important is that we mustn't take it out of, how you've got the spiritual gurus sitting in the mountains, these monks in the middle of nowhere, meditating, and they reach this higher consciousness. I mean, that's great. That's awesome. But did you help? How did you help humanity to raise uh, the frequency of this planet, this earth
Mm,
consciousness? Because you and me, for example, I know it in my heart that I'm here to raise the frequency of, help raise the frequency of the earth consciousness, so we can reach a higher level of consciousness and spirituality as a whole. Now, the thing is, if you're not mingling with everyday people, how are you gonna see uh, what you're showing to them, your best self, what you're presenting, how you live your life? Because a lot of people will only change their life if they see somebody else and they admire them, and like, wow, I want to be as healthy as them, I want to be as awesome as them, because I just love what they're doing. Because, you know, when you live your best life and you're doing what you love, then it shines and people admire that. And then that's what actually gets people to change their life. You know, they need sort of like almost like a role model of in life, you know. And
Mm.
but you being, let's say, where you are right now, you're showing your experience to everybody else, and you're sharing all your, and you're also sharing your energy, because all of us have our signature frequency. When you mingle with other people, they can also feel your energy, and they can see, wow, you integrated so much stuff into yourself, you overcame so many things, and that inspires people. And also they can feel your energy, and that also raises their frequency, and that also helps them to overcome their difficulties in life.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you want to add something to this, because I think it's so important. I think what you're doing is so amazing, that you really searching out what's important for the earth consciousness, you know, how we can actually help the rest of the people. Because like you said, there's like 7 billion, I think it's 7 billion people in this world, and they're so disconnected, because everybody is searches, you know, for the financial, you know, to be rich and everything. I think money is important to a certain extent, because you need money to enjoy your life and to buy your fruit, to travel, and you know, you need a certain amount of money. So I'm not saying that you should, you know, just live off the streets. Like, you know, in India, you've got the, what do you call those people that live on the, it's like a spiritual gurus. I don't know what they're called.
Right,
Maybe,
babas or
yeah, it's like they live
uh,
all on the street, and people like
on
give
this
them stuff.
orange cloth.
Yeah, sort of like yeah, there's, yeah, people like, yeah, but I mean, I don't see, I mean, that's obviously you still want to have a comfortable life. You need some comfort in everybody's life, you know, because I think that it's also victim mentality when you don't have some basic amount of money, because then people reach into that as a victim, you know, like, oh, I can't eat like you because I can't afford to buy healthy fruits and stuff, you know, and they're immediately the victim instead of having the self-empowerment. So I think that you need a certain amount of you know, financial help as well, you know, from the universe. But there's different blessings that we get. It's not just money. Sometimes people give us something, or like you were saying, how you used to exchange, you know, with things that you do for someone, then they will give you food, or you know, when you were in other countries, when you were working on the farms and everything. And I think that the universe can give you not just financial help, but you can also get, I mean, money, but and you can also have it in when somebody will, like you said, exchange gifts with you, or give you a gift.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to add something to that, about financial gains, financial freedom, or like, you know, making money and wanting to help, or you know, the earth consciousness. So absolutely agree. When you brought the financial thing, this is something that I thought I would want to go ahead and speak on. A lot of people do seem to worry, and it's usually the people that I'm hearing are people who are living in cities or urban settings, still worrying about money, or wanting to make more money, or money is something that is taking their time and mental space a lot. And I think that if you want to be part of the economic engine that we have together built on this planet, to be part of the economic engine, you have to contribute to the economic engine. And to be able to contribute to the economic engine, you will have to make money. And every year, you will somehow have to make more money than what you did last year. And this is something that people are uh, not getting full, you know, weight and scale of. Because if somebody is making $2,000, $3,000, in the next 3 years, that $3,000 is a lot less for that person compared to what it was before. And now they're constantly on in this cycle. And this is mainly arising because I think, in my perception, it's mainly arising because we are so tied again to finding answers and the peace or the contentment to life on the outside. There's something that I was working with my mom as well. She was telling me, "Oh, how if we spend more money here on this part of our house, or on this part of our life, it might just be better." And I was like, "Why, mom? What happened? What is not right now that you want more in this area of life?" And then towards the end, I understood that she thought that spending more money here would make us more content and fulfilled in our lives, as opposed to not doing it. And I was like, why are you looking for contentment or fulfillment from money? Because if you were to do that, it's an endless journey, right? I have seen people who have had no money, and I've also known people who have a lot of money and two, three cars, and they're pretty much the same because they both don't seem content, right? And I'm like, okay, if this person were to go on to make more money, will he become more content? I doubt, right? Because if he were to go this way of an endless journey of acquiring contentment, or in Arabic it's called sukoon, it means peace. If you are looking for that inner peace from the outside, I'm I'm sorry, but I don't think so. That's going to happen, right? Because you could own a house, you could own multiple cars, you could own a city. People are kings. People are owning or have control over an entire populace, and still don't seem to be coming out of a centered or aligned being. Don't seem to be fully content. I've told this to people. If, let's say, somehow I gave you the entire planet, the whole planet is yours, you're the queen or the king of the entire planet, you would be very happy and even find a bit of contentment or fulfillment, but for 1 week, max 2 weeks. And then you'll start looking at the moon. Now you suddenly want the moon. Let's say we give you the moon as well. You'll be very happy for maybe 2 weeks, and then you'll start looking at the solar system. And then we give you solar system, you'll look at the galaxy, and the galaxies are, so the outside journey is an endless journey to find contentment or fulfillment. If you were to really sit down or lie down or whatever you want, however you want to start, and start to focus on the universe, the entire galaxies of the solar system that are residing inwards inside, they're saying that scientists, more and more science is coming to us, is that the very cell, the very building block of our body looks exactly the same as the solar system or the galaxy from the inside when you put a microscope, right?
Like an atom. When, like, let's say, the electrons kind of fly around the what is that? The middle of the atom. It looks like Earth, and then the stars, and
Yeah,
like
they're
things
constantly
circling
like
around.
proton,
Yeah.
electrons.
Yes.
Yeah, they're constantly like
Yes.
going around.
Yeah.
And they have said, scientists are coming out saying more and more, still they're clueless because they're trying to find the answer outside. And they are like 99%, 99.99% of an atom or a cell is empty, just like the universe. Because apparently we are on a crash course to a galaxy beside us, the Andromeda galaxy, apparently. And what is fascinating, Judith, is that when this collision will happen in a billion years or a few billion years, apparently none of the stars will collide to each other. There won't be any star that will collide to each other. Why? Because every star will miss each other. That's how much space there is between each stars. So that much empty space there is. And it's the exact same inside of our cells as well. There's 99.99% of empty space that we have no clue about what it is, why it is, nothing. So, what if we start to become so curious of the space, the empty space that is within us, the universe that is within us? And suddenly, when you do that, maybe you'll realize that there was a solar system where the planets were inner peace, ecstasy, misery, joy, this and that. And when we start to truly understand what these things are, I think we can create a fabulous world within us. And when we create a fabulous world within us, which is not littered, which does not come from a destroying mindset, then naturally we will not destroy the planet as well. The reason why we are going on destroying the planet is because, one, we have destroyed our bodies, the very body, the very asset that was given to us. And because we destroyed this body, or we are constantly destroying this body, we are manifesting and expressing this destruction outside as well. Um, so yeah.
Wow, that's a good way to put it. That's actually a really interesting way to put it, how you mentioned it. I love that. Yeah, about manifesting it to the outside. I never thought about it like that before. You know, when it comes to the destruction of the planet and our bodies and stuff. That's really interesting. Awesome. I wanted to ask you about your life purpose. What do you think is your life purpose?
Purpose. I love this question. I love how the Arabs say it. I don't know if you have heard Arabs say the word purpose. So in the Arabic dictionary, there is no, or the Arabic dictionary, no, Arabic vocabulary, or Arabic alphabets. There is no P. So the letter P, how we say purpose. So the Arabs here would say it burbus.
Oh.
And so I I thought I'll just share this, because whenever you talk about purpose to an Arab, you will laugh, because he will say purpose, and I think it's funny in the moment.
I never knew that.
um,
I was in Dubai and Abu Dhabi before, but I never realized that.
right. Yeah. So if they speak English to you and they say there is no parking here, they will say there is no barking here. They will say
Ah,
barking.
okay, wow.
um,
Good to know.
anyway, so purpose. I think for me, going to the concept of realizing who I am and what I'm here to do. Um, I no more see my purpose as something out there that I want to do, speak in front of these many people, doing it this way or that way. Because when you do that, one, you never know. Maybe you're limiting yourself, because all usually how purpose is portrayed out there, in my perception, how I see, is just an exaggerated or an extension of already a dream that you're living right now. So, to give you an example, somebody who is a public speaker in front of a 20 people, maybe his purpose to life would be, or his goal, big goal to life would be speaking in front of 20,000 people or 20 million people, right? So, only the things that we do now becomes our ultimate goal, or this purpose that we want to do, right? Right now, I can't just sit here and be like, my purpose is to build a rocket. I wouldn't say that, because I don't know anything about building a rocket, even in the smallest of the smallest minute ways. So, um, so I believe that one key, don't make any dreams, because dreams is just a very limiting thing to you. It actually limits you, because the only dream you can think of is just an exaggeration of what you know, right? Or a dream or a purpose. For me, I think it from this standpoint, Judith, in my perception, is I want to live a purposeful life. And a purposeful life for me is just to do what is centered and aligned and right to do for me in the moment. That's it, right? If I naturally keep focusing on doing what is absolutely right for me in the moment, the purpose will happen on its own naturally.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much for that. Wow. I didn't expect your answer like that, but that's actually really cool. That's
Thank
a
you.
different perspective, but it's great. No, it's great. That's awesome. Fahad, do you want to share your last thoughts with the audience, and also where they can find you, your social media channels, and so on?
Sure. Where people can find me is, I think I'm more active on YouTube these days. So you could find me with the name Raw Fruitarian Fahad. I think I should just shorten that. So I'm in the process of shortening and maybe make it Raw Fahad or something. So if you don't find Raw Fruitarian Fahad, maybe you'll find it by Raw Fahad. So just a heads up for people. And my last thoughts, before we wrap this up, I believe, is that spend a lot of time truly wanting to know yourself. And yourself is not in the books out there, it's not anywhere out there, it's within you. Because for me, how I see meditation, the process of meditation, because I think people who are into spirituality want to know what is meditation. For people, what is meditation? I remember a few years ago somebody asked me what is meditation, and I couldn't answer that question. And I felt like I did an injustice or was unfair to that person in the moment. But for me right now, I see meditation as the following. Meditate first. Let's talk about life a little bit again. So I think in this context of life, in context of life and meditation, life is nothing but a series of distractions. Nothing but a series of distractions. Everything is here to take your attention, right? Human attention is the most important thing ever. Human concentration, where human pays attention, he goes and does it. And so life is nothing but a series of distractions. If you are able to navigate through life with no distractions and stay as focused as possible to who you truly are as a life within you, then I think you go on doing fabulous things to the world, and and the world needs that. To give you an example of how life is nothing but distractions and how you could channel your focus into it, let's say you're having a conversation with somebody and you're constantly wanting to interrupt them. You're constantly wanting to put your thoughts in between, or you just lose it and become angry with the person. You have become distracted. You just got distracted because your goal should have been to truly connect with that person, to understand what they're saying in the moment. That is what it means to be focused. If you don't get distracted with the work that you're doing while you're doing the work, and you don't get distracted and thinking about things, but you're focused, then you go on doing that thing in such a quick time and in the best possible fashion. For me, I realized that when I'm transitioning to better diets, I was constantly getting distracted. Oh, what if I go and pick up a hamburger at McDonald's? Constantly thinking of that. And if I get distracted and actually do it, then I got distracted. But if I stayed focused with what I had to do in the moment, I would have done it correctly. So meditation allows you to remain as concentrated and focused on that particular task or activity in that given moment at all times, right? And if you're, this is something I want people to know, if you start paying attention and focus to the very life that you are, not the car that you want to own, not the things that you want to buy, not the things that you want to do, if you start focusing on the very life that you are, then naturally all you will do is the right things that this life demands out of you. And we need more people who function out of the very life that they are, and not the accountant that they are or the CEO that they are.
Wow, thank you so much for that. That's a great way to close our podcast. And thank you so much for coming on this podcast to share your
Thank you.
thoughts. And bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you.